podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tanner Johnson, and today Ricky is not with us, unfortunately, but today we have a pretty awesome guest. It's the new coach of Chrisman High School here in Arizona, Coach Scott Hare. And before we get into the interview with him, we're gonna go over a couple of housekeeping things with you. Again, we are a two-man small business, so we are trying to project this out to everyone. So please follow us on our social media on Instagram at Tailgate Sports Podcast 24 and at Tailgate Sports Podcast on TikTok. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on all of our podcasts to be able to spread this around. We want to get these coaches and these players the recognition that they deserve. So, like I said at the top of the show, that we have Coach Hare. So, Coach, you want to introduce yourself for a little bit?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. It's a great honor to be a part of your show and just kind of be able to showcase what we're doing at Chrisman and just how excited we are about what's coming up. Spent about 10 years in Arizona. I was the head coach at Mesquite. Won a couple state titles there in 19 and 20. That was a lot of fun. And then kind of jumped out for a year and kind of needed to complete my doctorate, which I have in sports leadership, and so that's been a great journey for me. And came up here. I'm currently in Washington. Up here for a couple years at high school in Washington. That was a good deal. But just the way that unions work and different things kind of went down. There was a layoff, and actually I got laid off as a teacher, and not as a football coach. It's just last one in, first one out type stuff. So really felt compelled to really put myself in the best situation. I wasn't really looking to just jump into anything. I really feel like I really wanted to be a part of something special and an organization that really wanted to be great. And doing my due diligence and kind of looking around, and Chrisman was definitely checked all the boxes. And so we're real excited to be coming there and get rolling. And it's been great ever since I got hired. The school's been awesome, fantastic administration. Kids are ready to go. Weight training program's amazing. Getting a staff put together. So we're really ready. We're rolling. We're excited and can't wait for spring and summer to get here.
Yeah, that sounds great. It's definitely a great thing to have the administration, everyone kind of already ready for you to just hop right in. You can get to work. Um, so obviously, the first question that I want to ask you, it's kind of the first question I want to ask all these coaches. What made you want to get into coaching?
Well, I grew up on a football field. My dad was a head football coach, and my grandfather, actually my mom's dad, my dad actually played for my mom's dad. My grandfather, and so it was. I grew up on a football field, a high school football field, with my two younger brothers. Ball boy, water boy, just kind of that atmosphere, that game day, being in the locker room before games. That's really all I ever wanted to do my whole career, was just be a head high school football coach. And I really have been lucky to do that. So at 23 years old, I got my first opportunity to be a head coach in California, and that was pretty special. At the time, I thought I was ready, but now looking back on it, 23 was probably a little younger. Probably could have used a little more seasoning, but I really appreciate the athletic director who gave me that opportunity, and I worked really hard to get it. Definitely put myself in a lot of learning situations prior to that, and I was really hungry to want to be successful and want to be a head coach. Really for me, it's always been a family affair. My brother coaches with me. My dad was on the staff with me at a couple different places, and at Mesquite when we won a state title. So it's been special to be able to work with my family.
That's awesome. That's pretty special um, to hear, to be able to have your family all around you helping you coach, and that's actually a real cool thing to hear. That's very seldom, especially getting a head coaching job at 23. I could have, my life was nowhere at 23. I had no direction in life. So that's awesome. And you can definitely see like that burning competition in, at least just from this little conversation so far. You want to win, and I can see it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what we're doing. That's the goal is to achieve great things. You don't always win
Hmm.
a title. But there's a lot of great things that happen no matter what your record is. And I think as coaches, sometimes we're judged strictly on what our record is. But you can have I know some really, really great coaches that have taken over some really difficult situations and maybe not get even to necessarily to the playoffs or maybe the first round. And they're some of the best coaches I've ever worked with or against, just because they're always working to overachieve. So for me, it's that overachievement. I always want to overachieve in everything I do in my life. I want to overachieve. I want to be the best husband, father, coach. I just want to anything I'm doing. I want to try to be as successful as I can be at it.
Yeah, that that's perfect. Um, it's good to see that drive because I know from my personal experience, my high school is kind of just all over the place with head coaches. It's kind of actually what you're walking into with Chrisman. They've been rotating through head coaches, looking for some stability there. That's how I experienced my high school coaching. It was a new coach every single year, all 4 years, and that's not a great place for the students and the athletes. And so it's good to see the full support for Chrisman behind you going forward. And obviously, you have the winning pedigree in multiple states, not just in Arizona, which is a huge bonus for Chrisman. I think they lucked out on exactly getting you to come over.
Yeah, well, I'm real excited to be there. I mean, I think I do agree with you. I think the kids have been through a really difficult situation. There's no other way around it. I mean, with what happened just a year ago in spring ball with the coach, and then obviously having a coach come in and be in an interim situation, and then you got this new guy coming in, and yeah, I've been around the block and kind of done some things, but to the kids, they don't know me. They don't know who I am. Records are just something on a piece of paper right now. So I do really feel though blessed. Tyler Montoya, he's a athletic director right now, hitting the ground running hard. I mean, just looking at his schedule right now, I'm jacked to work for him. He's at the school all the time. I mean, it's amazing to me just how successful and just really he's going into his job and the way he does to his job with just a lot of purpose. And I've seen that from day one. So I'm excited to work for him. Obviously, the principal Elise was jumped off the page immediately. So these are people who want to be successful. But there's no doubt I'm going to have the kids, get the kids to trust me. That's my number one is to build some relationships and communicate with them and just show them who I am. Not try to sell anything to them. Just say, hey, let's go to work a little bit and hopefully I give you a good experience. But there's no doubt. I know they've been through a difficult situation, and I can respect that. And I really there's no selling to them. It's just let's go to work and let me just show you what I got, and hopefully they enjoy the process.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of going into obviously you're building those relationships this year. Going into your first time, have you ever had the opportunity to like pretty much just build from the ground up a program?
Not to this level. I have taken over. I actually took over a program that was 0-20. They hadn't won a game in 2 years. So the school was actually very old. It was they had lost um, their infrastructure, which was a paper mill in the community, had been gone for about 5 years. And so most of the town had left with that job. So I had an opportunity to take that as a young coach. And it was a ground up. There were only 24 varsity players my first year there. So 0-20 and really had to grind through some things. But by year three, we were in the playoffs. So really felt like we got that thing rolling and back on track. Once again, not anywhere close to a title. But
Hmm.
sometimes the title's not the thing, but I really feel like those kids overachieved and we really worked hard, and I thought we gave the town something to be proud of. So haven't necessarily done it with a new school to this degree, but I've definitely been a part of different levels of programs that I've taken over. With Anderson that was 0-20, and then that's a whole rebuilding, complete restructure. Obviously, when I took over Mesquite, coming off Chad DeGrener, he's fantastic. He did a really good job setting the foundation. So I just kind of took it from where he was, and
Hmm.
so that he provided an opportunity really there to have a really good foundation. So I've kind of taken over a bunch of different types of programs over the years.
That's great to hear. that you're at least ready for this. I know
Yeah.
some people just aren't ready walking into to know exactly what's going to happen. So um, I'm really excited for you guys. I'm definitely going to be coming out and catching some games, seeing if I could catch some practices, watching you build this program definitely from the ground up. With kind of your coaching philosophies, do you lean more offense, defense? Do you prefer, or do you want to kind of just CEO kind of man everything?
Yeah, I don't see myself as a CEO or offense or defense. I just whatever we're working on in the moment, that's what I'm working on too. So if we're on offense, I'm on offense. We're on defense, I'm on defense. And then, sometimes I got to jog over and help with the scout team as well. So to me, it's just where am I needed in the moment? And sometimes you get stronger assistant coaches in one area, and that year you kind of allow them a little bit more freedom and a little bit more autonomy, and then you've got to help in some other areas, and then other areas sometimes you get different types of coaches, um, coordinator wise too. And obviously my brother and what's his involvement. He's kind of run. I mean, I guess you could say I've called the offense over the years. He's called the defense, but if you actually see us work, he's equally involved with the offense, and I'm equally involved in the defense. So I just think that for the most part, where am I needed in the moment, and what do I see? If I see it, I'm gonna coach it. If I need to talk to a player, I'm gonna talk to a player. So in my years, I feel very comfortable with all 22 positions. I feel very comfortable talking to guys that play anything. And I put a lot of work into that. That's not just something that that's actually the mentors that were ahead of me that made it very clear to me that, I needed to learn and grow throughout my early part of my career, and understand how football works, from the ball out. And so I did. I obviously didn't play offensive line when I was playing. I was more, I played quarterback. But really, I will say that when I was 20, 21 years old, I had a college mentor who really set me up at Stanford 2 years in a row. It's for spring ball, just doing offensive line. That's it. I was in every meeting. I went to every practice. I didn't say a word. I just was there. I was a fly on the wall. But I learned a lot about offensive line in 2 years. Coach Alt at Nevada, and kind of opening up his doors to me, and kind of what I've been able to do there, and just kind of see what they were doing. In the early, when Colin Kaepernick was actually at Nevada, I saw his all 4 years. I actually only saw one game, but I saw 50 practices over the years. So I think that, it really is, what are you doing behind the scenes to grow in areas that you might not be strong. And so I've put that time in. And so I feel really comfortable with whatever we're doing. I'm going to be involved in helping that process.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think the best coaches are exactly what you said. They're involved in everything. They understand every position and the nuances around. Um, I think my personal opinion, obviously every coach has their own philosophies, but is exactly what you're saying. You need to be able to connect from the ball outwards, and you need to be able to understand what each of your position coaches and even your coordinators are talking about. You can't just focus on what you're doing, because your defensive coordinator may not be doing exactly what you are intending or you're not expecting. But obviously it's your brother, and you guys have been coaching for years together, and you are involved. So um, but that's honestly, that's the dream for especially a new high school. Someone who is super involved and detailed with all of the positions. So there's no kid um, that really feels left out, like doesn't think like the coaches are coaching him well enough. I think that's huge, especially the molding of a young athlete. I know my co-host Ricky, he has a son that's playing high school football right now, and his big thing is how do you get all the other kids involved? So obviously it's a new school, it's kind of a lower roster size, a smaller roster size, but how are you going to try and maybe not necessarily the starters, but try and develop the kids behind them?
Well, right now everybody's got to get developed. I don't care if you're one or 50 or wherever we have in between. I really don't care. If I'm talking to you, you're the most important thing I'm personally dealing with in that moment. So I don't really look at it that way. Once again, I look at it from the standpoint of, obviously there's going to be certain kids you're probably dealing with a little bit more depending on what their role is, i.e. the quarterback or the center or the middle linebacker are probably going to be dealt with a little bit more than, maybe the slot receiver who, he needs to know his concepts and his routes. He needs to know his plays, but probably not getting the little nuances that I'm dealing with the quarterback on. So, but for me, it's every player. Who am I in the moment with? Who am I talking to in that moment? What drill are we trying to accomplish? I don't really care necessarily in the moment I'm talking to a player who we're playing or what role they have on the team. Can I make that player 1% better because he's working hard and I have an opportunity to hopefully use my knowledge and my years of experience to make him 1% better every time we kind of chit chat with what is the situation. So, but I will say small roster size. Chrisman's got the guys. I mean, they got the guys. I don't think we're right. We're not a 6A school yet.
Yeah.
We're still growing as a school to get to that higher level necessarily that might be happening in the years to come. But I'm going to tell you, being in the weight room with these guys a little bit, and these guys can play ball. Watching the film, I'm real excited. These guys are raring to go. The players are there. The players are there. The talent is there. These guys can get it done. They really have. There's no ceiling for these guys. I mean, really, I'm excited about where we're starting, and we're just gonna every day we just want to keep getting better.
Yeah. That's great. Um, Obviously, like typically Arizona, recruitment wise, so far with Arizona, the deepest positions are generally cornerback. Corners across the state are getting recruited all over the nation. The number one recruit in next year's class is currently a corner at Desert Edge High School. Um, one of the top corner, one of the other top recruits is the quarterback for Queen Creek High School. The other kind of positions are offensive line, and so I think with all of your experience learning from those offensive line coaches, like you've said, um, I think that grants an amazing opportunity for Chrisman to be able to start developing these offensive linemen to get them advancing to the collegiate level. And obviously, because Chrisman being so new also hurts it, but just everything that they've gone through, it hurts recruiting for these athletes. Like they're just not getting the opportunities. And so I love the experience and what you're individually focusing on with each player to improve. Helps them even just a little bit get that next level of advancement.
Yeah, from a recruiting standpoint, I mean, that coming with the years of experience I have, and also being in 4 different states, um, actually, when you talk recruiting, um, I mean, I'm not a recruiting coordinator, but I mean, if you go through my phone and scroll through my phone right now from junior colleges in California, D2. I mean, I've had players, we got a kid playing in Arkansas at Harding University. Marshall across the way, I had a kid in Syracuse that got recruited to Syracuse, recruited.
Hmm.
Obviously we had the 5-star Ty Thompson. Andrew Morris was Defensive Player of the Year at Mesquite. So I mean, really, when it comes to, I mean, I just had a kid out of here in Washington. We just sent down to Shasta Community College in California. And I did that because I actually am very good friends with the offensive coordinator at Shasta. So I got him a place. So the truth of the matter is when it comes to recruiting, you want me to get a college on the phone? I can pretty much get a college on the phone within a day. And I think that's just because of the amount of kids we've sent over the years at various different locations. The other
Yeah.
thing is, I think my 20 years, I don't lie to college coaches. I don't feed them guys just to feed them guys. If I tell you a guy can play at that level, I think that I've earned that trust over the 20 years. And so I think recruiting for me is something. I mean, I'm literally an hour ago, I was on the phone with UC Davis talking about our middle linebacker at Eastlake right now. And I actually talked to UC Davis about our free safety, who I'm real excited about, but Cameron Pope was, we were same phone conversation. So I'm literally getting kids at 2 schools recruited right now at the same time. And I just think that there's a level of trust that when college coaches trust that the head coach gives them good information, they're going to keep coming back to that coach.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, I never knew that. That's an awesome thing for me to learn.
Yeah.
It's great for me to learn. I'm obviously I'm a kind of a draft analyst here. That's my main focus as I'm trying to watch these guys from high school develop on through college. Right now I'm specifically watching Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu, the two tackles from the University of Utah. Um, they both started here at Highland High School, and so I've kind of been following their journey through college. And obviously they're currently the projected to be the best tackle duo in the nation next year.
Wow. That's awesome.
Um, but that's
Arizona's popping. No doubt about that.
yeah,
Arizona is popping, you know. So these kids put themselves in positions. I think the number one thing that most parents specifically, even more than the kids, need to understand is there is really, really, really good football out there that doesn't play on ESPN on Saturday. And it's really good. And if they got out and saw a Division two football game or a 1AA game or Division three, I mean, if you go to a Division three game, I mean, junior college, I coached in junior college in California for a couple of years. Spectacular football. Now, I mean, how many D1 guys were we coaching before they were D1 because of grades or they needed to get a little bigger, faster, stronger? But you just phenomenal football. So I think that if you want to keep playing football, we'll find a spot for you to play.
yeah, like even just going to Cam Ward this year, he's projected to be the number one pick. He
Right.
started junior college. He wasn't even recruited out of high school, and then he got his opportunity and made the most of it. Um, so kind of going into that, um, obviously you've coached some college, but you said like your dream has been to be a high school coach. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
why have you settled in on high school specifically?
Oh, I love the age. For me, this is where I belong. First of all, I'm not a recruiter. I want nothing to do with
Yeah.
recruiting. I think that I do not want to get on a plane, fly into middle nowhere Texas, get in a car, drive 3 hours, and have a high school 17-year-old blow me off. I would not fit well in college. I know that college looks glamorous on Saturdays and you see those guys and but my hat's off to those guys because
Yeah.
they work so hard all year they work
Hmm.
hard trying to get high school kids and we don't hear about the ones that fail. I mean you start
Yeah.
talking about Mons or Iguano at Arizona State and what they're doing and these guys now it's like we hear about the 2 3 5 kids that they do get. We don't hear about the 50 kids that they're texting or calling or getting on a plane every day and trying to build those relationships with to try to get them to come to Arizona State. We don't see that. So I've really never had any real desire to go to college. The other thing for me personally is my family is very important to me. My kids have been a part of this process, and my wife's in the end zone every game. Those are opportunities, and in college, it's special. And for some guys, college is a special environment, and that's where they want to be, and that's where they fit. And I do wish I was paid like the college guys. I will say that I could use that money, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I wasn't willing to sacrifice what it was gonna mean for my family, being a father, um, and having them be a part of it, and really more. So that wasn't it. But ultimately, I love high school either way. I mean, once again,
Yeah.
if you took money out of it, the only draw for me, even a little bit, even when I even baby thought about college, was strictly about money. That was it. Money was the only
Yeah.
reason. To be honest with you, I love high school. And so I love the Friday nights. I love the band and the cheerleaders and the whole group together. And I love being in the locker room with those guys before a game and the bus after a big win. It's cool, and I believe that I have a greater influence. And once again,
Yeah.
I think all people have. I don't care. I have people that influence me. I'm 48 today. I'm influenced, but I do think that there are 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are looking for direction, They're definitely still their parents are their number one, of course. But I also think at that 16, 17-year-old range, you're looking for somebody besides necessarily your parents to kind of say, hey, you know what? I think that person is somebody I want to be a part of. And so I've always felt I had a great influence at the high school level. And I like coaching ball. And obviously, it's been a family affair with my brother. And so, and I love being a head coach. I do. I don't want to. I didn't want to go through receiver to running back and then move,
Yeah.
and then move, and then move to do multiple things. So I've I have moved quite a bit. It's funny. I've moved
Yeah.
4 different states, but it's all been for high school, all been
Yeah.
for specific reasons. But no, I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing.
Yeah. And that's definitely a whole other beast. I mean, obviously Nick Saban retires because he can't do the transfer portal anymore. Because now
Right.
they were recruiting year round, and now you're recruiting guys that you have already recruited several times. You're trying to recruit your current team to stay with you. It's it's amazing the patience that some of those guys have. But I agree with you. That's too much. That's too much to put on one man's plate. Um, but I obviously everyone loves that money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone would love that money. But
Absolutely. And if that money was getting paid just to coach and there was no recruiting and you got to kind of do it that way, ah, okay, maybe. But once again, I can
yeah,
self-assess myself and I know for a fact I would not be a good recruiter. I know that.
yeah, yeah. And that's awesome to be that self-aware and be conscious of where you want to be. I mean, the obviously the famous De La Salle High School coach that won 151 games in a row, he was constantly being recruited by colleges to take over. He had no interest in it, specifically for what you said, the 16, 17-year-old. He wanted to influence those young men's lives before they established themselves as men. Um,
Right.
So, Coach, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Obviously, this has been a fantastic interview. I've definitely learned a lot from you, and I'm definitely excited to see what you do at Chrisman. Uh, I know they're super excited to have you, and so one one last question. I like to kind of throw a little curveball in at the end. It's nothing crazy, but
Okay.
so who do you try and pay attention to the most in like college, in NFL, like whose coaching styles do you try and pay attention to the most and maybe take bits and pieces from them and apply it to your own team?
I barely watch college or pro football. I'm a high school guy. I watch a ton of high school. I will tell you, there's a coach in Reno, Ernie Howard, coach at Minogue, and he was coaching at Reed when I was up there, and phenomenal coach. And I follow his career, and I follow what they do, and I kind of watch their guys on NFHS. And really, NFHS for me is my ESPN. I have multiple subscriptions to NFHS. I'll have two high school games, going at the same time. So when other people are watching Notre Dame play Penn State, quite frankly, I'm watching Chandler play Hamilton, and I don't even have a dog in that fight. So, or I'm involved now with Washington. I got a little bit of flavor in Reno. Obviously, Arizona is very, what been very involved there. So really, I have so many friends that do really good things. I watched a lot of Perry games. With Joe Ortiz over at Perry and what he's doing. I think he's doing a great job, and he's building that quarterback. That guy's going to be a stud. So, for me, it's funny. I think that there's this automatic. I coach, so there's this level of different levels. Um, it was fun to watch Arizona State this year. It was definitely fun to see what they're doing and Dillingham.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Dillingham, but I do know that he's infectious. And he got me paying really close attention just because he seems like a dude. And so it's fun. I'm excited to see Arizona State continue to grow. And it's really, really cool that they're doing it with some locals.
Yeah.
Dillingham, but not just Dillingham, Regal, and as I said, Mons, and then Aguano, just
Yeah.
high school coaches that they've done it, and So I think for me, those are, I do appreciate a good college game, but I would really rather get the college game, the end zone copy from the colleges, and then kind of be able to sit down in my living room and break it down. And I like college game day, so I do
Yeah.
like hearing those guys. I kind of like hearing the interviews and how coaches talk. It's funny you say, do I emulate after anybody? I actually, the number one thing I want to hear is I want to hear how coaches talk after they lose. So
Yeah.
I'm the guy who the networks click off too quick for me. I'm the one that I want to wait. I want them to go into the losing locker room and pull the coach out. How does he handle that? How do they deal with failure? How does he kind of handle the situation where it maybe didn't go as well? Is he talking about? Is he blaming it on the refs? Is he blaming it on his other team? I can usually tell, well, how successful is a team going to be? One guy I have a lot of respect for is Campbell over at Iowa State. You know,
Yeah.
I've never every. It's always about him. It's always about his team. Win, lose, or draw. He sounds the same. There's always a positive vibe to what he's selling and what he's doing. So no, there's fantastic people out there, but I really do spend most of my time really evaluating and learning more about what the high school guys are doing, because I really think they're the ones that are affecting more the age group I'm with. So
Yeah.
and especially teams got to go both ways a little bit. Those always teams that kind of interest me, how coaches deal with that and practice plans. So definitely do a lot of research. Definitely watch a lot of football, but most of it's at the high school level.
Yeah. Obviously, yes, that's your element. You got to be seeing what's going on. You see people experimenting in high school with things, and then it trickles up to college, and then
Yeah.
it experiments at college, and then it trickles up to the NFL eventually. Um, but yeah, that's thank you again. This has been an awesome interview. I don't want to take up any more of your time. So just to kind of close up, thanks everyone for listening to the Tailgate Sports Podcast. Special thanks to Coach Hare, the new head coach at Chrisman High School, and we wish him good luck in his first season at Chrisman. So thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks, Coach. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, sounds good.